Have you ever woken up, looked at the ceiling, and felt a quiet sort of drift? It's not necessarily sadness. It's not panic. It's just this subtle, nagging question that sits in the center of your chest. Is this it? Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? We live in a world that celebrates the big reveal. We love stories where the hero suddenly realizes their destiny in a flash of lightning. But for most of us, real life feels a lot more like walking through a foggy forest. You take a step, and you're not quite sure if it's the right direction, or if you're just walking in circles. If you've ever felt lost or directionless, or just a little bit unsure of who you are versus who the world wants you to be, I want you to know, you are not broken. You're just human, and you are safe here. Hey everyone, welcome back. It's really good to see you here. Today we're diving into something that touches all of us. Purpose, why it feels so hard to find, and what psychology says about uncovering it. We're going to strip away the cliches. We're going to move past the hustle culture that tells you your purpose has to be profitable or famous. Instead, we're going to look at the quiet, psychological reality of what makes a life feel meaningful. I think the biggest weight we carry is the definition itself. We treat purpose with a capital P like it, as a hidden treasure chest buried somewhere in the sand. We think if we just dig in the right spot, clink, we hit it, and suddenly everything makes sense forever. But here's the part most people never hear. And it's something psychologists have understood for a long time. Purpose isn't a destination. It isn't a noun, it's a verb. It's not one big discovery, but a collection of meaningful choices. Think about that for a second. It shifts the pressure, doesn't it? Research into human flourishing suggests that purpose isn't something you find out there, it's something you build in here. It's constructed from the things you pay attention to, the way you treat people, and the things that make you lose track of time. But why does it feel so elusive? Well, psychology tells us that our brains are wired for survival, not necessarily for meaning. Our primitive brain wants safety, certainty, and belonging. But purpose often asks us to step into the unknown. It asks us to risk looking foolish, and this leads to a really common trap. We wait for permission. We wait for a sign. I want to share a story about a woman named Elena. Elena spent her 20s convinced she was meant to be a writer. She agonized over it. She waited for the perfect idea that would define her career. She wrote nothing because nothing felt big enough. To pay the bills, she worked at a community center, organizing afternoons for elderly neighbors. She made tea. She listened to stories about the war. She held hands. She thought this was just the waiting room for her real life. But here's the insight that might change how you see your entire life. One day, Elena realized she wasn't waiting anymore. She looked around the room at those connections, the laughter, the comfort she provided, and realized she felt alive. Her purpose wasn't to be a writer. Her purpose was connection. Writing was just one way to do it, but so was making tea, so was listening. She had been living her purpose the whole time. She just didn't recognize it because it didn't look like the movie version of success. Experts suggest that purpose often hides inside these small moments, not grand events. It's usually the thing you're doing when you're not trying to impress anyone. This brings up a fascinating concept called psychological alignment. When what you do matches who you are, you enter a state of alignment. But who you are changes, doesn't it? That's the second big truth we need to embrace. Your purpose shifts as you grow. The purpose you had at 18 perhaps, to explore, to rebel, to learn might not fit you at 35 or 60. And that is okay. In fact, it's healthy. Clinging to an old version of purpose is like trying to wear a coat that no longer fits. It just restricts your movement. So if it changes, and if it's hidden in small moments, how do we actually identify it, especially when the world is so loud? Let's talk about the noise for a moment. We live in the age of comparison. We scroll through feeds of people who seem to have it all figured out. They're living their truth on a beach somewhere, or launching six-figure businesses. Psychologically, this triggers a state of deficiency. We stop looking at our own garden because we're too busy staring at their harvest. We start thinking, if my purpose isn't that big or that shiny, does it even count? But here's a secret about the human mind. We are terrible at predicting what will make us happy. We think we want the big applause. But study after study shows that deep, lasting satisfaction comes from contribution and competence. It comes from knowing that because you existed today, someone else's day was a tiny bit better. Or that you solved a problem, or that you created something, even if it was just a good meal. Sometimes your purpose is simply the thing you keep returning to, even when the world is loud. I want you to try something with me. A little reflection. You don't need a notebook, just a moment of honesty. Think back to the last time you felt completely in the flow. Maybe you were organizing a shelf, or helping a friend through a breakup, or playing an instrument, or even coding a website. Time disappeared. You weren't thinking about your ego. You weren't thinking about how you looked. You were just doing. Psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi calls this flow. These flow states are breadcrumbs. They are the universe or your subconscious whispering. More of this, please. But following those breadcrumbs is scary. Why? Because of fear. Fear disguises itself as logic. Fear says, you can't pursue painting, you need a retirement plan. Fear says, you're too old to start. Fear says, who are you to call yourself an artist? This is known as imposter syndrome, and it's the guardian at the gate of purpose. But listen closely to this next part. Fear only shows up when you're getting close to something that matters. If you didn't care, you wouldn't be scared. The fear is actually a compass. It points north. It tells you, hey, pay attention. There's energy here. Many people have found that when they stop fighting the fear and just invite it along for the ride, it gets quieter. You don't have to be fearless to find your purpose. You just have to be willing to do it trembling. I remember talking to a man named David. He was a corporate lawyer for 20 years. High status, good money, but he was miserable. He told me he felt like he was wearing a costume every day. His flow state, woodworking. He loved the smell of sawdust. He loved the precision. He didn't quit his job overnight. That's reckless. But he started dedicating his weekends to it. He started teaching his kids. Slowly, the center of gravity in his life shifted. He realized his purpose wasn't lawyer or carpenter. His purpose was craftsmanship. He brought that craftsmanship back into his law practice. He started drafting contracts with the same care he used to sand a table. He found peace, not by changing everything, but by changing his relationship to what he did. So how do we make this practical? If you're sitting there feeling stuck, what can you actually do today? Here are a few gentle suggestions. First, the envy test. This sounds counterintuitive, but notice who you are jealous of. Not the person with the nice car, but the person whose life or work makes you feel a pang of, I wish I could do that. Jealousy is often just suppressed desire. It's a clue map to what you want for yourself. Second, your younger self. What did you love before the world told you what you should love? What did you do when you were 10 years old, unsupervised? Did you build forts? Did you tell stories? Did you rescue bugs? The core essence of that child is still in you. And third, serve someone. If you can't find your purpose in your own head, get out of your head. Help someone else. It's almost impossible to feel purposeless when you are being useful to another human being. Psychology calls this self-transcendence. When we focus on something bigger than our own ego, the fog clears. We realize we are part of a larger tapestry. I want to address one last thing, maybe the most important thing, the feeling of being behind. I see this in the comments so often. I'm 30, I'm 40, I'm 60, and I haven't found it yet. Is it too late? Let me tell you what research shows about the aging brain and purpose. As we get older, our capacity for pattern recognition and emotional intelligence actually grows. We become better at synthesizing information. We become wiser. Some of the most profound work people do happens in the second half of their lives. Grandma Moses started painting in her late 70s. Julia Child didn't write her first cookbook until she was 50. Your timeline is your timeline. You are not late. You are exactly where your unique set of experiences has brought you. So, take a deep breath. Release the pressure to have a tagline for your life. Release the need for it to be something that fits on a business card. Maybe your purpose right now is just to heal. Maybe it's to learn how to be a good friend. Maybe it's to raise a child, or grow a garden, or simply to survive a difficult season with your softness intact. That is enough. You are enough. Your purpose isn't something you chase. It's something you grow into, one honest step at a time. It's in the way you listen. It's in the curiosity you follow. It's in the love you give. I hope this conversation gave you a little bit of space to breathe today. I hope it reminded you that the answers aren't usually shouting from the mountaintops, they're whispering from the quiet moments of your everyday life. Stay grounded, stay curious, and keep becoming who you're meant to be. If you enjoyed this conversation, if it sparked something in you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And let me know below, what is one small thing that makes you lose track of time? I'd love to read them. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you soon.